Hi everyone, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought that we would make this adorable baby Yoda. I've made several of them, sent them away to family and friends, and they just absolutely loved him. For this project, you're going to need a yarn needle with a large eye and a blunt end, a 4.5 millimeter hook. Hopefully you can see that. 4.5. A pair of scissors. For the eyes, I am using this Aunt Lydia's number 10 crochet thread. You can use buttons, little plastic black gems, and just glue them on, or just black yarn. But I'm going to use this, and I'll show you an easy way to put these eyes on. It's basically just wrapping around one stitch like 12 times, and it's really pretty easy. You'll need a little bit of pink for inside of his ears, for his head and his ears and his hands. I'm using Frosty Green. This is a Red Heart Super Saver in worsted weight, size 4. It calls for a 5.5 millimeter hook, but I'm using the smaller hook because it'll make tighter stitches, and with these little dolls, it's better to have tighter stitches so that when you stuff it, you won't be able to see the stuffing through it. For the body, I am using this Aran color. It's a light tan. It's also Super Saver Red Heart. So go ahead and gather up your materials. Oh, you'll also need something to stuff the doll with, whether that is polyfill, and that's what I used. Or you can use yarn scraps, or whatever you would normally use to fill up one of these little dolls. I grabbed my fiber fill from my local Walmart. A big bag of it lasts me quite a while, and it doesn't cost very much money at all. I'm sure you probably already know that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and grab up our materials. And oh, one more thing. You will definitely want to make sure that you have some kind of a stitch marker, because we are going to be working in continuous rounds. We're not going to be joining. We'll just work in continuous rounds like a spiral. So you'll want to have a stitch marker to mark where either the end or the beginning of your row is. Some people like to mark the end of their row. I like to mark the beginning of my row. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on the head. For round 1, we need to make a magic ring, and 8 single crochets in the magic ring. One, two, three, and 8. Just pull that string tight And for round 2, we're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch. There's my first one, and I'm going to go ahead and put my stitch marker in my first one. Two, 3, 4. At the end of this round, you'll have 16 single crochets. Go ahead and do your 16 single crochets, and I will meet you back up here at the end. 15 and 16. For round 3, you will make 1 single crochet in the first one. Go ahead and put your stitch marker in there. And 2 into the next. And we'll repeat this pattern all the way around. 1 single crochet in the next, and then 2 single crochets in the next one. At the end of this round, you will have a total of 24. So go ahead and make up your 24 stitches, and I will meet you here at the end of this round. 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and 2 in the last stitch for a count of 24. So rounds 4 through 7, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all going to be just 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and our stitch count will stay at 24. So we need to make 1 in the first one. Put our stitch marker back in there. One in the next one, and 1 in the next one, and repeat that all the way around for 4 rows, for rows 4, 5, 6, and 7, and I will meet you back up here at the end of round 7. Okay, I'm coming up to the end of round 7. And before we go on to round 8, I want to show you something that I always do when I'm working with a magic ring. So I always make sure that this is pulled tight, and then I put a little knot down here to make sure that this is never going to come loose. So I just find one little stitch to go up inside of here, like this. And then I just make a simple knot, pull that tight, and then I don't have to worry about this ever coming loose. So now we'll move on to round 8. For round 8, we're going to start by decreasing in the first 2 stitches and then make a single crochet. Decrease, single crochet. So let's pull our stitch marker out. We're going to do, or at least I'm going to do, it's called an invisible decrease. So what we're going to do is just go up under that first loop. We're going to go up under to make the decrease invisible. We're going to go up under that first loop, pull up a loop. I'm sorry, we're going to go in the front loop of the stitch, front loop only. So we'll go up under the second front loop only, draw up a loop, so you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. and then just single crochet in the next, and then do another decrease, go through the front loop only, and one more time, front loop only, and then make a single crochet in the next. And make sure that you put your stitch marker in back here. 1, 2, 3. That one is the first one. So next is a decrease. So front loop only, and one more time front loop only, 3 loops, and pull through all 3, and then a single crochet. At the end of this round you will have 16 single crochets, and I will meet you back up here at the end for the next round. Okay, I'm ready for my last grouping. So there is a decrease, and then just a single crochet in the very last stitch. And for round 9 you will need to decrease all the way around. So you'll just decrease 2 together, single crochet 2 together all the way around, and you'll have a total of 8 single crochets at the end of this round. So just like the last one where we went into the front loop only, we're going to go into front loop, and then into the front loop of the next one and draw up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, and put our stitch marker in there so we don't lose our place. And front loop only, and the front loop only for our decrease, and decrease again. Go ahead and finish up the rest of your decreases all the way around, and I will meet you here at the end. Alright, I am at my last decrease for round 9. Round 10 is 1 single crochet in every stitch around, and you'll stay at 8 stitches. I'm going to go ahead and take my stitch marker out and just leave it out and just count out the 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now at the end of this one, I'm going to slip stitch into that first one and cut not too long of a tail, just a little bit, because I mean you can decide if you're gonna use the green to sew the body to the head or if you're going to use the tan to sew the body to the head. So I'm going to leave a tail long enough that whichever way I decide to do it, there'll be enough. And just fasten off, and there you are. The head is done. I have a little polyfill here, and I am just going to stuff it into his head. You want to make sure that you're using, like, just grabbing up a little bit of polyfill at a time. I'd heard other people talk about this, and they said that it would be less chunky, your heads won't be as wonky shaped, and I didn't believe them. So I would grab up just bunches of it and shove it in there, and I found that just doing little bits at a time really does help. You want to fill the head pretty full, but you don't want to be able to see the polyfill through the stitches. So this will deflate over time. I'm sure that you've had pillows that were filled with this stuff, and over time your pillow went flat and you had to purchase a new pillow. Well, by stuffing your doll pretty tightly, it'll hold its shape longer. So just keep putting the filling in until you're happy with the shape. Just, push it in there pretty good. If you can't fit your fingers through the holes, I mean, I have pretty big fingers. If you can't fit your finger through this hole, you can use the blunt end of your crochet hook or your scissors, if you are pretty careful with that. I find that stick that comes with the polyfill is really of no help to me whatsoever. So I filled up the head about as full as I want to make it. Go ahead and grab your pink and I will show you how to make the inside of the ear. We need to make a slip knot, and chain 2, 1 and 2, and in that first chain down here we're going to make 1 single crochet. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Into that 1 single crochet that you made in row 1, we're going to put 2 single crochets in there. So there's 1 and 2. This makes up pretty fast. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and in that first single crochet we're going to put 2 single crochets. 1 and 2, and 1 into that second single crochet for 3 single crochets. Chain 1 and turn. And we're going to put 2 single crochets in the first single crochet and 1 into each of the next 2. So that would make 3 and 4 for that row. Chain 1, turn your work, and just work 1 single crochet in each of those 4 single crochets. 2, 3, and 4. Chain 1 and turn your work. We're going to skip this first single crochet, go into that second single crochet for 1 single crochet, and then 1 into the next 2 for a total of 3 single crochets in this row. Chain 1, turn your work, and skip this first single crochet, go into the second one, and then there's just 1 more single crochet, go into that one, and then we're just going to fasten off. You don't need a very long tail for this. Go ahead and make both of those, and then make 1 green one, but don't fasten off when you get to the end of the green one, and I'll show you what to do when you get to the end of the green one. When you get to the end of making your green one, go ahead and chain 1. It'll make it easier to sew these together. Just kind of flip that pink tail inside, trying to get it out of the way. Now all you're going to do is attach these together with single crochets. Just make sure that you're getting into both the green and the pink, and space your stitches out evenly. I think I got about 5 or so down one side before I got to the end. Oops. Did get through the green. It is important to make sure that you're getting through both of those colors to sew this together. Okay, now down here on the end, you're going to want to put 3 single crochets around that end. So there's 2 and 3. You're going to work the same way up the other side. This tail's out of the way. Just make sure that you're getting into the pink as well. Just be patient with yourself, and it doesn't really matter how many stitches you have going down the side, as long as they're fairly evenly spaced out. Just wherever the hook wants to go in pretty naturally is fine. Now there's the last one down the side, and I'm just gonna fasten this off and leave a long enough tail to sew the ear to the head. Now these other little stragglers down here, you can go ahead and just snip those off. It's not going to matter. You can sew them in or snip them off. I'm just going to give them a quick little snip. Now we're done with this pink. I can completely get it out of the way. And just shape up your ear a little bit. I just kind of pull on it to shape it, push my thumbs into the pink part to kind of bend it up, and then that's how your ear looks. So we're just going to put those aside along with the head, and we'll get started on the arms. We're going to start with the hands, and to do that we're going to start with a magic ring and 5 single crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're just going to stay at 5 single crochets for the hand. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to do one more round of 5 single crochets for his little hand. But first I'm going to go ahead and put a little knot down here at the end. So I don't want to pull that out. So I'm just going to go through this little stitch here and not that. Then you can turn this inside out. Just use your nails and get around there the best that you can. So we're going to make another round of single crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our color that we're using for the body and the sleeves. I'm going to go ahead and get it ready by putting a slip knot on there. Now normally when you're changing colors on your very last stitch you would start it but not finish it. I'm going to go ahead and do that in the first stitch though. I'm going to start it and then I'm going to bring on that other color to finish that stitch. And we're going to go back into that same one with another single crochet. And then we're going to make 2, or I'm sorry, that would be 2. So the next one will be 1, and the next one will be 1. The next one will be 2. And the next one, 1. And the next one, the last one, will be 1. So at the end of this round, you will have 7 single crochets. We are going to skip over that first single crochet. We're just going to skip over it and go straight into the arm color or the sleeve color with a single crochet. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in my stitch marker, and you're going to want to do 1 single crochet in every stitch around for a count of 6. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. His sleeve will have a row count of 7. So, oops. I missed one. So his sleeve will have a row count of 7. That was the second round with the sleeve. So you want to do 5 more rounds with the sleeve. It doesn't matter if your stitch count is 6 or 7. I mean, it's not going to matter one way or the other. If your sleeve is just slightly larger than what mine is. So just make up your rounds, just try and keep them with the same number going around until you get to round 6. So you have 2, you need 4 more rounds of the sleeve color. When you get to the end of round 6, just take out your stitch marker, slip stitch into the next stitch, and fasten off. Make sure you leave yourself a long enough tail to sew in to the body. Snip off that grain too. These little tail ends here, you can just stick them down inside. You can stuff your arm if you want to. I prefer not to. So here is what your arm looks like. Go ahead and make another one and set those aside, and we will sew it all together later. His body and scarf are made in one piece. We'll start here at the bottom, work our way up his body, and then do his scarf around the top before we attach his head and his arms. So to do the body, you need to start with a magic ring. And single crochet 6 times in the magic ring. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, we're going to work in a continuous round, just like we did for the head and the arms. So for round 2, we're going to put in our stitch marker, and we're going to make 2 single crochets in each stitch round. So that was 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and one more time, 1 and 2. Now before I go on to round 3, I'm going to tighten that ring up and make my knot in it. Just going to get up under one of these stitches. And make a quick knot. Now we're ready for round 3. We're going to put 2 single crochets in this first stitch. Put our stitch marker back in where we made the first one. And then 1 into the next stitch. 2 in the next, and 1 in the next. So at the end, we're going to keep doing that all the way around. 2 in the next, 1 in the next, 2 in the next, 1 in the next, all the way around. At the end of round 3, you'll have 18 stitches. So we had 6 stitches in round 1, 12 in round 2, we'll have 18 in round 3. Okay, there is my 18 stitches, and we're ready for round 4. We're going to put 2 single crochets in the first one. That was the first stitch, and I'm going to go ahead and mark that. And 1 into each of the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 and 2, and we're just going to repeat that all the way around. 2 in the next one, 1 and 2, and then 1 in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. And we're just going to repeat that all the way around. 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 in each of the next 2. 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. Repeat that all the way around, and at the end of this round you will have 24 single crochets. For round 5, we're going to single crochet in the back loops only all the way around. We're not going to increase in this round. We're just going to have 24 at the end of this round, but we're going to go into the back loops only. Starting here at the first one. And put my stitch marker in there. So back loop only. 2, 3, 4, 5, and continue that all the way around, working in the back loops only. And at the end of this round you'll have 24 still. At the end of round 5, your work should look like this. You should have this nice little ridge when you flip it up. So round 6, that was round 5. So round 6, we are going to single crochet in every stitch all the way around, but we're going to go into both loops. At the end of this round, you will still have a count of 24. So go ahead and work your stitches all the way around, going into both loops, and I will meet you here for round 7. Round 7, we're going to start with a decrease. We're going to crochet 2 together, 2 single crochets together. Then we're going to work 6 single crochets and then do 2 together, and then work the remaining the same way. So we're going to do 2 single crochets together, 6 single crochets, 2 single crochets together, 6 single crochets, all the way around to the end, and you'll have 21 single crochets at the end of this round. So let's start with, we're going to do the decrease just the way we did at the head. So we're going to go in through just this front loop, draw up a loop, go into the front loop only of the second one, draw up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. We're going to put our stitch marker in here so we know where to end at. And then we're going to go into the next 6 with just a regular single crochet. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and again do our decrease into the front loops only, and then do 6 single crochets and then decrease again. And you'll have 21 here at the end, and I will meet you back up here for the next round. Round 8 is just one single crochet in every stitch around, so you will still have a stitch count of 21. So there's the first one. Oops. There's one. And put my stitch marker in there. 2, 3, and at the end of this round, going one single crochet in every stitch, you will have a count still of 21. Round 9 is going to be a decrease and then a single crochet in the next 5. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. So we have a decrease in the front loops only. And then put my stitch marker in there so I don't forget. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and again with a decrease, and then 5 single crochets in the next. At the end of this round, you will have 18 stitches. Round 10, we're just going to stay at 18, so it's just one single crochet in every stitch around. So put my first one in and put my stitch marker back. 2, 3, continue making one stitch in every stitch around, one single crochet in every single crochet all the way around, and you will still have 18 at the end of this round. Round 11, we're going to decrease again. So we're going to decrease in this first one, that in the front loops only. Put our stitch marker back in there, and then we're going to single crochet in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and another decrease, and then single crochet into the next 4, 2, 3, 4, and one more time decrease, and then single crochet into the next 4. At the end of this round, you will have 15 stitches. The next round is just a continuous round of 15 stitches. So one single crochet in each of those 15 stitches that you made from the previous round. So there's 1, 2, and continue making your single crochets all the way around. So in round 13, we are going to do 2 together in these front loops only. So a decrease, and then 1 into each of the next 3. So there's 1, 2, 3, and again repeat with the decrease, and then 3 single crochets, well, 1 single crochet in each of the next 3, and repeat that all the way around. Okay, right here I'm going to go ahead and add some stuffing while my hole is still pretty big. The next decrease will bring us down to 8 stitches, so it's a little harder to get in there when the hole gets too small. So I want his body good and plump on the bottom so he'll be able to stand up real well. Put just a little more in there. I'm pressing it down pretty good, but I also want to bring it out here, like put my fingers in and then press outwards to make him chubby on the bottom. All right, for the last round of our body part before we start the scarf, all we're going to do is decrease in one. So we're going to single crochet 2 together and then 1 single crochet in the next. And come back here and put in my stitch marker where I made the 2 together so I won't forget where to end. So then we have 2 together and then 1 single crochet and 2 together and then 1 single crochet. And repeat one more time. 2 together and 1 single crochet. And there you are. You should have 8 single crochets around. For round 15, we're going to work in the front loops only, and we're going to do 2 single crochets in each of these stitches. So there's 1, 2. At the end of this round, you'll have 16 in the front loop only. 1 and 2. And repeat that all the way around. And at the end of this round, you'll have 16. So let me count back 4 and put in my stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was the beginning of it. So continue doing that all the way around, 2 single crochets in the front loops only. In the next round, we're going to do half double crochets. We're going to do 2 half double crochets in the first stitch. So to do a half double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook through both loops, draw up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Again, you yarn over, insert your hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So I'm going to put my stitch marker in that first half double crochet, and then we need 1 half double crochet in the next, and then we'll have 2 half double crochets in the next, 1 in the next. So it's 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1 all the way around. At the end of this round, you'll have 24 half double crochets. Round 17 is going to be single crochets all the way around. So we're going to do 1 single crochet in each of these half double crochets for a total of 24 single crochets all the way around. So go ahead and make up your stitches, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around, and I will meet you back up here at the end of this round. Now for the next part, we're going to go ahead and take our stitch marker out, and we are going to slip stitch into what was the first stitch of that round, and we're going to chain 2. And now we're going to turn our work, and we're going to go into this very first stitch, but we're going to do back loops only, and we're going to half double crochet in back loop only all the way around, and at the end of this round you'll have 24 half double crochets. So just work into the back loop, so not the one facing you but the one away from you. So we're going into the back loop only with a half double crochet in every stitch all the way around. Okay, in this row now, it's no longer really a round, we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and we're going to make a half double crochet in every stitch around. This time we're going to go through both loops. So just like you would a normal stitch, we're just going to half double crochet all the way around until we have 24 half double crochets. Alright, we have one more row. So we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and we're going to half double crochet in back loops only one more time. We're going to make 24 half double crochets in the back loop only all the way around to the other side. Just one half double crochet in each stitch, working back loop only all the way around. Now that I have made my 24 half double crochets all the way around in the back loops only, I'm going to fasten off. You don't really need a long tail for this, just something long enough to sew in. Okay, I'm going to pull that down pretty good because I'm going to get in here and put just a little tiny more stuffing. Sorry, I should have already had that ready. Just a little more stuffing to fill up the top part. Okay, now we can sew on his parts. So your work should look a little something like this. Now for this tail here, what we're going to do is kind of sew this together a little bit. So I'm going to come in here around that first stitch and just bring it across there. And then I think this is called mattress stitch or something close to that anyway. And we're just going to go back and forth a few times to sew that closed. I don't want it too tight. And up here at the top we'll make a little knot. And then just hide it in through these stitches here. Just back and forth a couple of times should be good enough. Now we can attach his head. So to attach his head, what you're going to want to do is kind of come in through here and through down here. Let me pull this down. Down here where this line is right here on the inside. So you're just going to want to kind of go through, just grab up any one, it's not going to matter, and pull through, and then just kind of whip stitch his head on there. Just go through one stitch in the head and then one stitch down here on the neck part of his body. And continue to do that all the way around until his head is attached. Trying to get this on camera as much as possible. Pull it, pretty good. You want his head on there pretty snug. You don't want it falling off. So I'm gonna make a knot in here so this won't come undone. And his head is quite a bit less wobbly. And all I'm gonna do is push this through his head. Come up over here, come back down through. Just make sure that you're not pulling tight or you'll distort your stitches. Just come through it a few times back and forth to hide that tail in, and then give it a snip. And his head is on there. Now next I'm going to flip up his scarf, and I'm going to attach his arms. I'm going to grab a stitch marker. I'm going to come over from where his seam is for his scarf and try and figure out about where I want his arms. And I'm just going to stick that to his body on one side. Doesn't have to be perfect. And do the same thing on the other side. So I'm coming down. You can see right here that I've only come down like a row or so. Thread up your needle. And just go through his arm and through his body. I'm going to come up here around his neck area. Give that a pretty good tight in there. Tight little pull it tight. I'm going to go ahead and take out this stitch marker because it is really in the way and there's not many stitches here to work with. So it really only takes about 4 or 5 stitches or so to get this arm on here. And you're hiding everything up under the scarf, so you're not going to be able to see his little knots or anything when you tie off. So you see how it pulled up nice and snug up under there, up under around his neck. So I'm just going to come back through here again. I'm going to come out this other side over here and just make sure that the back part of his arm is secured down. I'm sorry if you can hear the people upstairs. They're being a little noisy now. And I'm going to put a knot in it back here. And just like we did with the head, I'm just going to take this thread and come through his body a few times. It doesn't matter where you go in or come out, as long as, you know, you're like coming over a stitch and then come out the back of his body somewhere. And one more time. And I'm going to bring this back through the back of his body and then snip it off. Go ahead and attach your other arm, and I will meet you up here and we'll put on the ears. So I pinned my ears on. I found places that I thought that they would look good. I tried to use the arms as kind of an anchor point for the ears. Try and line it up a little bit. I came just up above the scarf and attached here, and then just came straight up from there and tried to make it in the same, at least the same row on the other side. I might move this ear forward a little bit. Just, you know, pin your ears on in places where you think it might look good. You can always adjust it and change it a little bit. Now I have found that the easiest way to do this is to go through the back first. So just thread up your needle. And kind of hold the ear flat against his head. It should curve around his head. So I'm going to go ahead and take this stitch marker out, since that's where the thread starts. Kind of position this back in place and go through the green here. So I'm going through his ear and his head, and I'm just going to give this a bit of a whip stitch back here. Trying not to pull too tight to disfigure any of the stitches, but still have it secure. And then I'm going to take out this bottom stitch marker here in a second. And kind of flip his ear the other way. Thread my needle back up. And come through the pink and the green to secure the front. Just get it on there the best that you can. I mean, doing it this way, if you needed to take it off, it wouldn't give you too much of a problem to take it off and readjust it. But once you're happy with how your ear looks. I'm going to come up here to the top of his ear and kind of bring it down a little bit. So I went through the top, and I'm going to come down through his head and back up and give that a little bit of a tug, because I want his ear to come. Oh, he is not on camera. Okay, so I just wanted to give his ear a little twist, and I'm going to come down through his head to the bottom part of his ear and kind of do the same thing down here a little bit. Come through there and through his head here. Oops. And just give it a gentle tug so that his ear will be a little more rounded. And now we're going to do the same thing we did with the head and the arms. Thread my needle back up again. We're just going to make a little knot down here at the bottom of his ear. It'll be less conspicuous down here. Well, mine did not pull that tight, but that's okay. This isn't for a little kid. All I'm going to do is get this like through here, and I'm going to pull it a little tight so that that gets a little hidden in there where I messed up a little bit. And so again, I'm just going to come through the head, like down here around the neck, to hide in this tail, back and forth a few times. And cut my tail off. So go ahead and sew on your other ear, and I will meet back up with you here to put on his eyes. All right, his ears are on, and I'm going to get a pretty good length of this crochet thread, and I'm still just using my darning needle. You can use a smaller needle if you like. And all that I'm going to do is try and find a good place for his eye. I think I'm going to go about here and then come over two and go about there. So I haven't knotted this or anything. I'm just going to pull it through. Give myself a tail that, you know, about like that. And come back through here. Now I'm going to go around this about 12 times. That's how many I did for that other one. 2, 3, 4. I'll hold his ear back here out of the way. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now when you're doing that, you might be pulling on that just a little bit, so just make sure that your stitch hasn't become too distorted. And then just tie this into a little knot. I'm going to do it about 4 times. And then you can just snip it off or just push it down through one time. I'm just going to go through one time. And give that a snip back there. And now I'm just going to do the same thing with the front string here. Just going to push it down through there, and that'll hide it in. And that's all you have to do to his eye. So there's one. We're going to come over a couple and go right into this one here. Right here. And we're going to do the same thing with this eye. Give ourselves a little tail here. And hold this ear out of the way. Oops. Hate when that happens. We're just going to go around this eye 12 times. And I'll be back here at the end of my 12th time because my string just keeps wanting to come out and it's a little frustrating. Okay, I went around his eye 12 times, made my knot, and now I'm ready to finish him up. And I like that the way his eyes do when you pull that string in the back. I don't know, it makes them even out, and I think it looks better. So I'm just going to thread up that string, put it through, and pull it through the back. Try that one more time. That also pulls that knot into his head and hides it in there pretty good. And there you are. Your baby Yoda is done. So I hope that you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Share it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and I will see you back here for the next video.